Cheers, big ears, and welcome to the Beach Travel Wine Podcast. We are your hosts, Leanne.
And I'm Lyle.
And we are not your usual travel influencers. No, we've decided we want to be travellers that travel under the influence. Okay, good joke?
Reasonable.
Well, there's plenty more where that come from. So join us as we travel the world, one wine at a time. Good morning.
Hola.
Today's episode is, we're taking a step outside of Spain, not very far outside of Spain though, are we? Into, where are we going?
We're going to Gibraltar.
Gibraltar today now.
The Rock of Gibraltar.
The Rock of Gibraltar. Do you want to tell people what the Rock of Gibraltar, tell us all about Gibraltar is what I'm trying to say, Leanne?
Get your act together, girl. It's, the Rock of Gibraltar is an area of 6.7 square kilometres.
And it's right down the south of Spain, isn't it?
Yep.
Sort of halfway between Marbella and Cadiz, sort of still down there, yeah.
So Gibraltar is a British overseas territory and headland on the Spain south coast. It's dominated by the Rock of Gibraltar, a 426 metre high limestone ridge.
And that's pretty impressive because it just sort of juts straight up, doesn't it? Like it's flat and then bam, is the rock.
Yeah, so it was first settled by the Moors in the Middle Ages, then ruled by Spain, and then ceded to the British in 1713. Mm-hmm. Gibraltar was ceded to Britain following the Spanish War of Succession between 1701 and 1704. Charles II died in 1700 without leaving an heir. Now, it's really weird. I didn't realise that it was so long. I just thought, we're talking 500 years. The reason why the Spanish ceded it to the British because there was an Anglo-Dutch came in because of the War of Succession, and so the Spanish ceded Gibraltar to get the British out of the war, basically.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, so that's
why it's English, yeah? Go on.
Yeah, and Gibraltar benefits from the external shipping trade, international finance centre, tourism, and a global leader in virtual gaming industry.
Yeah.
So Ladbrokes, which we see on television all the time, is based out of Gibraltar.
Right, okay. So that's sort of a bit of a history lesson, thank you. And
well, there's more.
Oh, do you want me to talk about how you get into Gibraltar first?
Sure.
Okay, so when you, in Spain, there's a little town right on the border between Spain and Gibraltar called La Línea de Concepción, or La Línea, as us locals like to call it. And you arrive there, there's a train station too, but we arrived at the bus station, which is, 100 metres from the border. And because when we got there, I'm like, we'll have to get a taxi. And then you walk out of the bus station, you can actually see the Rock of Gibraltar right there. So you're just like, okay, we probably don't need a taxi. And but what's interesting and actually more than interesting, fascinating about Gibraltar is getting into Gibraltar is the only way in is across the airport tarmac.
Yeah,
you're actually walking across the tarmac that these planes take off from, and they actually have to close the tarmac down. So, and that's whether you're in a car or you're walking, you sort of walk through the border.
Pedestrian,
Yeah, pedestrian. That's what you call when you're walking, isn't it? Pedestrian crossing. It's the biggest pedestrian, I reckon it's probably the biggest pedestrian crossing ever, right?
Sure. Probably one of the shortest runways.
Yeah. So you're a bit like, this is different, walking across here, the runway. And so you probably get a bit of a, what do you call it, like a bit of a lift in your step to get you across there just that little bit quicker. But you still have to go through the normal border stuff, show your passport and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but they didn't seem that, that concerned. No, well, because it was pretty easy going through to get your passport checked and that sort of stuff.
I don't remember the number, but I think it's something like, thousands and thousands of people cross that border every day because, a lot of the Spanish people come into work.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's pretty chill,
Yeah. Well, the actual, it's about It is 350 metres from the passport station to the centre of Gibraltar. So that shows you how small it is, the distance. Now, the reason why I know that is because they have been trying to build a tunnel underneath.
Which would make sense, right?
Sure, because at the moment there's just traffic lights at each side of the tarmac there, and and there's
must be disruptive, for the
I think
air controllers.
Yeah, so for every aeroplane that lands, you've got to stop. So
it's an international airport. It's not
it's international. They don't have that many flights. I think it's about 15 flights a day, which. I mean, it's still a pain in the arse for the local traffic and that sort of thing. But the tunnel's been going to be built, or is being built, but it's had that many delays because the Spanish and the English have different building standards.
Yeah, I can imagine which ones.
So it's been going on for years and years and years. But
well, you know what? It's a bit different to cross the tarmac, so I wouldn't worry about that. I'd go and do that.
But you've also got a situation where, obviously, being on the Rock, the airstrip is only 1.7 kilometres long, and that was actually part of that. Was they extended it out onto the ocean with the rocks from the tunnels. The excess rocks.
Actually, on our Instagram at Beach Travel Wine, up the top, the story highlights for Gibraltar, we're right up the top of the Rock, and I take a video of a plane taking off, because that's quite a short runway. Most of them, a lot of them are up around the 4,000 metres long, right?
Yeah. I think the average for internationals between, I think it's 3,000 and 4,000 metres.
So this is like less than half of that. So I've got a video of a plane taking off, running up this tarmac, where everyone stopped at the sides, and you just don't think it's going to take off, do you?
No.
Yeah, but eventually it does. So, and one more thing I want to talk about about getting to Gibraltar is, and this might have just been, in my imagination, or it might have just been on that day, but, we'd been in Spain for weeks and weeks, and we hadn't had a day of cloudiness or rain or anything like that, right? And we cross the border, we go across the tarmac, and we're in the main street of Gibraltar, and it's cloudy and foggy and cold and miserable, and there's red telephone booths, and it actually felt like you were in England, didn't it? Like, it was, to me, the change was dramatic. It was,
sure it was.
It's like you crossed a line from sunny Spain into wintry, wet.
I had to console you, actually. I remember specifically.
That's
Leanne
correct.
saying to me, or Leanita is saying to me, why have we come here?
Yeah,
Why?
take me back to Spain.
Yeah.
This weather, it is absolutely, I hated it. But that afternoon was a bit like that. But then the clouds did part, and we did go on to see some really great things in Gibraltar. See?
Yeah.
We decided to treat ourselves to staying somewhere nice, although there's lots of nice places in Gibraltar, but there's an iconic hotel, and what's it called, Lyle?
It's called the Rock Hotel.
Yeah. The Rock Hotel, and it basically sits on the side of, very close to the side of the Rock of Gibraltar, doesn't it? It's this great big white sort of plantation-looking sort of building, isn't it? With, it was
built back in 1932.
Okay, and so it's white and big balcony on it, and that. We decided we'd stay there. You want to tell me a little bit about the history and?
Yeah, it's always been a bit of a magnet to the royalty and to the rich and famous. People like Winston Churchill, Errol Flynn, Sean Connery, John and Yoko Lennon were regulars there, and part of the hotel you have all these photos of all these old movie stars, and
everyone who stayed there, they got a picture. A lot of English stars like Dennis Waterman.
Dennis Waterman, Alec Guinness is another one.
Yeah.
So it's almost like stepping back in time a bit, and I found that all the service staff have got, you know, their pristine uniforms. It's very, very old school.
Yeah.
Which is something I loved.
It's got a lovely big restaurant with the bar area and big balcony, covered balcony, and that balcony looks over the Strait of Gibraltar, I guess, or part of it, and all the ships. And at night, in particular, once again, there's photos and videos of it. You know, the ships and the other side. You can see the other side of the bay, which is still Spain, actually. Just the lights there are amazing, aren't they?
Yeah, the views are fabulous.
Yeah,
both day and night. Yeah. I found that. Yeah, it was just beautiful.
We did have a couple of little issues there, which, you know, like, I don't want to be being negative on the podcast, but I went to, which I never do. I never blow dry my hair, but I thought, we're going out, I'm going to blow dry my hair, and so I turned the blow dryer on, and it's one of those ones that's hardwired into the wall. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I can remember it.
And
it never stopped.
I know, it just would not turn off. It just would not turn off. And so they had to come and pull the fuse out, the circuit out and stuff, and yeah, that was a bit of a... But they were very, very, what's the word, helpful, and, you know, they helped us that problem, but that was a bit of a nightmare, trying to get that thing to turn off. And then the room was so hot, and they're saying, you don't leave your window open, because...
That's right, because of the monkeys.
Yeah, we'll talk about the monkeys later, could get in. The other thing about the Rock Hotel is it has a swimming pool area.
Oh, yeah.
And we set off to find it one day, and they said, oh, no, it's not open, you know, that it's raining, or, you know, it's cloudy today or whatever, it won't open until the sun comes out. But it's sort of across the road, and across the road is actually the Botanic Gardens of Gibraltar.
Yep.
Yeah, which are beautiful.
Yep,
you know, there's bridges and sculptures and beautiful lush vegetation, and we didn't actually find it that first time, but then when we did find it, you know, it's this beautiful big pool area, lots of sun beds, and, you know...
And we were fortunate enough to get those sunbeds right next to the bar.
They had a bar. We were having some mojitos.
Yeah, we were. We got into the mojitos, and there was a family, a fairly large family. Scottish family that had really taken over the pool area, and they were there because there was a wedding there that night, because the Rock Hotel does specialise in weddings. Sure. And these guys were playing their music and a Bluetooth speaker, and it was quite loud. And but they, you know, and they were having a ball. These people. Anyway, Leanne decided that she was going to introduce them to the Australian Scottish legend Jimmy Barnes.
I did, yes. I think they appreciated that, didn't they?
Well, it was better than listening to that I'll walk 100 miles or whatever. That's what they were playing. But anyway, to cut a long story short, they allowed Leanne to...
indulge my Scottish.
Yeah, Jimmy, Leanne's favourite. And to be honest, they were lovely people. We had a lot of laughs.
But that area
probably because of the amount of mojitos we had.
Okay, but back to the podcast story.
Sure.
The pool area. I'm sorry, like, it's of the Rock Hotel.
Yeah.
Is amazing. But you've probably forgotten this. I got locked in the toilet, and I couldn't get out. And someone heard me knocking to get out of that. That was a bit scary. I've got a friend who doesn't like to go into toilets that you can't see above or below the door for that reason. And if I'm out
with her... That's a little bit different.
I know, no, but if I'm out with her and I go to the toilet, I'll say, look, the toilet's okay, so she doesn't have to worry, right? You know? And now I get it. I get why you know, you want to be able to at least see underneath or above, but this one you could not, and I'm in this toilet. Anyway, I'm knocking on the door, and someone walked past and they were able to pull it open from... It was just sort of jammed the door, but it wasn't long. You hadn't quite finished your third mojito by then, so, you know...
I was going to say... Are you sure that didn't have anything to do with the amount of mojitos you had?
No, the door was actually stuck. So, is there anything else about the Rock Hotel that you would like to...
Just that you've briefly mentioned the fact that, there's signs in the rooms not to leave the windows open because of the local monkeys.
Yeah, that they get in. You're like, geez, that's a bit scary. Yeah. But they're lovely big rooms. You know, there's high ceilings. The corridors are wide. They have a beautiful buffet breakfast. Yeah, it's in a great position. Like, right across from the Rock Hotel, there's obviously a road, and as I said, the Botanic Gardens where the pool is. But there's also a bus stop, and that bus stop, we hopped on a bus, and you can actually take it up to the lighthouse area of the Rock. where they actually hold international music festivals.
They do.
Yeah.
And Andre Bocelli, we missed him by a week.
Or you can, it's not that far that you can't walk into town, you know. Walking into town's okay. It's a little bit of a walk back up the hill, but we walk everywhere, so that was okay. There's lots.
I think. Look, when it was built in 1932, it would have been
glamorous.
It would have been the most glamorous hotel probably in the world.
They've maintained that though, haven't they?
Yeah,
and I've got some really gorgeous photos of that with the show notes that go with this at beachtravelwine.com. You know, there's one even which we're going to talk about in a little while. The cable car. There's one with the cable car sort of almost crosses across.
I do remember that.
The top of the Rock Hotel. So yeah, but there are lots of other hotels sort of down Marina area. But you know, if you want to splurge a little bit, certainly the Rock Hotel is definitely worth a visit. It's an easy walk into the main area of Gibraltar, or if you're already staying around one of the hotels around the marina, you're already there. It's you know, there's some historic buildings there, but it's much more English looking than Spanish looking, isn't it? You know, which makes sense, I guess. It's actually very English looking. They've got the shops, you know, the leather shops and the English pubs.
Oh yeah, the very, very. There's a lot of English pubs.
Yeah. So it's very, and as I mentioned before, the red telephone booths and so there's you know, a British museum, and there's quite a lot of stuff that you just if you didn't know that you were just across the border from Spain, you definitely think you're in England. There's also a nice sort of plaza area there that which is very close to the marina and the wharf, and we had a nice explore around there because there's lots of yachts and things, which, you know, beautiful at sunset. Remember, you know, just walking around the marina there. But they had some really lovely restaurants, you know, from everything from just a hamburger joint right through to sort of gourmet restaurants, didn't they?
Yeah, we had some beautiful food there on the marina. And the marinas reclaim, a lot of the marinas reclaim land as well.
Okay.
So, and you can, you know, and during the day we went for a walk down there, and there's all sorts of water activities, obviously, with the Straits of Gibraltar, and one of the main things that they promote is the dolphins.
Yeah.
Now the dolphins are known to. I think there's several breeds that breed in the Straits of Gibraltar.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So, and they basically say that you're pretty well guaranteed, and because we got asked to if we wanted to go, and they sort of the big thing was that they guarantee that you will see dolphins. We sort of knocked it back because we sort of, you know...
Well, we live in Australia.
We live in Australia.
At the beach, we can see dolphins most days.
Yeah, so there's... it wasn't really that much point, but it...
the other reason is I saw the ocean around the rock in the strait.
Oh, that's right, you should yourself.
And there's a film of that in our story highlights. This guy was fishing and he was in like... Oh my! The swell was
huge,
horrendous, and I am not going out in that.
I do remember that now. That does come back to me. That's
why I didn't do that. So they breed there in the Gibraltar Strait.
It's known for that.
Yeah. So and the other thing about the marina area is, besides the nice restaurants, and it's, as you said, it's like a really busy shipping channel, you know, so there's always something to see there, isn't there?
Yeah, and also that from that area the ferry goes over to Tangiers.
Right.
So
do you want to tell about the cable car now that leaves from there, or that's up a bit further? We'll get
the cable car's fine.
Let's talk about the rock itself. So that's the big...
Well, do you want the legend of Gibraltar?
Can I? Yes. I thought that was you at the time.
I think that... No. You were the legend. You were the one that got locked in the toilet.
Yeah, I did. But I got out. That's okay. Now, what I was going to say was, you know, people go to Gibraltar. It's the Rock of Gibraltar. You know, like it's, you know, we're talking about the town and the marina and hotels, but it's the reason people go, and the reason it's known, and if you Google it, it's the Rock, right?
Sure.
And so yes, and there's some history and some legends that the legend himself here would like to share with you.
I do. I think it's important. Leanne doesn't, but I do. I
think it's important to get really nice photos, which I did.
According to some Roman sources, while on his way to the gardens of the Hesperides, Hercules had to cross the mountain that was once Atlas.
Right.
Instead of climbing the mountain, Hercules used his superhuman strength to smash through it.
Wow.
By doing so, he connected the Atlantic Ocean to the Mediterranean Sea and formed the Straits of Gibraltar. One part of the split mountain is Gibraltar and the other is Monte Etchel or Jebel Musa, which is the Mount of Moses. These two mountains taken together have since been known as the Pillars of Hercules.
Ah.
Okay, so
there's more?
a little bit.
Okay.
Gibraltar became an important base for the Royal Navy, particularly during the Napoleonic Wars and World War II, as it is controls the narrow entrance and exit to the Mediterranean Sea, which is only how wide?
14.3.
Oh, you're spectacular.
14.3.
How did you get it?
So what Lyle's saying, from the tip of Gibraltar to North Africa,
Correct.
across the Straits of Gibraltar, the Gibraltar Strait is only 14.3 kilometres wide.
Sure.
And you can actually see Morocco or from Gibraltar.
Yeah. It's especially at night, obviously with the lights and sort of thing, I mean, a couple of times there was a fair bit of fog in the morning, but once the fog lifts, you can see. And
I've got a video of that, like our first glimpse of North Africa. You know,
you do
in our story highlights.
I do remember that as well. But we did have a look on our tour. We were taken to the.
We're going to talk about that, aren't we?
The monument.
The monument. That's pretty.
Yeah, pretty average, really.
Pretty underwhelming.
The monument. You'd think if it was for Hercules, you'd think it'd be huge.
The Pillars of Hercules monument.
Yeah, pretty average.
Yeah, but anyway, I guess at least you now know the legend of Hercules.
Yeah, there are other legends, but I didn't want to go
about
into
Hercules.
Those. Yeah,
I thought that was about Thor.
How it was formed. No. Your thought.
Anyway, so maybe we should talk about the tour of the Rock, because that's what most people really want to know about. Yeah, I imagine they want to know about that because that's awesome. So as far as I can tell, there's three sort of ways to get to up the Rock of Gibraltar. You can actually walk. There's staircases and walks up, or you can take the cable car, which doesn't take you right to the top, so you can take the cable car and then walk some of the way as well. Or you can do what every sensible person does and take a bus tour. It
was a 4-wheel drive, really, was it?
Yeah, little bus. Because there's narrow roads, and once again.
The walk's about 7k.
Right. Yeah.
It'll take you about 3 hours because it's fairly steep.
Yes.
The cable car goes up 412 metres above sea level.
Yes.
It takes only 6 minutes to get up there. Just to do the return trip, it's £14 or 14 quid, as the locals say.
Yeah.
And to include a tour of the caves or entry to the caves and to the tunnels of Gibraltar, it's £22.
Okay, so we did a tour which included obviously a guided tour with some commentary, and we went to St Michael's Caves. We got to cuddle some monkeys, and we went to the lookout area, where we got some information all about the military history and that sort of stuff. You can do a tour of the tunnels, as you're going to tell us about, but can we first talk about St Michael's Caves, because that was our first stop after the amazing Pillars of Hercules, yeah?
Yeah. Amazing. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Did you not hear the sarcasm in my voice?
Yes, I did. The St Michael's Caves. This is a massive cavern in the Upper Rock Nature Reserve, more than 700 feet deep. It is full of stalactites and stalagmites and other limestone formations. And it's artificially lit up, obviously, with different colours, and the colours change.
Some beautiful photos of that.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit nightclubbish.
Yeah,
actually.
I really liked it. Like when they said St Michael's Caves, I thought, like it might be a dark cave, a damp, dark sort of cave, but I didn't realise it was so impressive, with all those stalactites and stalagmites, and there's a walkway, that takes you in and around, and platforms to, get great photos and just, look at the great cavernous sort of cave area. And it's quite touristy, as they've got a little tourist shop, and you can the infrastructure there is really nice. I really enjoyed it.
It was really the first cave that we European cave that we actually gone to have a look at, and I thought they've done a great job with it. The interesting part about it is that the actual, as I said, it's 6.7 square kilometres, the circumference of the rock, and yet there's 55 kilometres of tunnels.
Yeah,
and that's not including this
huge, be like honeycomb,
huge
cavernous place,
cave.
Like St Michael Cave.
Yeah, so.
I don't know. It doesn't collapse. How does it stay up?
It just seems like, as you said, it's honeycomb. It's incredible.
There's a Harris Battery, which is like a famous sort of military area, and they do a tour of that lookout, and they take you through the tunnels. There's still a lot of stuff there from the wars that the British had. Their reserves and things, and their communication rooms and all that sort of stuff. We didn't do that, but a lot of people love that sort of history, and they go to do that.
That's what I'm saying. The network of the tunnels, the basically took about 200 years to build, and principally by the British Navy. Right. As I said, there's 55 kilometres within the network.
But you're not aware of that.
No, not at all. The rock was turned into a huge underground fortress capable of accommodating 16,000 people, along with all the supplies, ammunitions, and equipment needed to withstand a prolonged siege.
So that's a lot of people, isn't it? And yet they're fighting over a 300-metre tunnel.
Sure.
Right? And
I don't think the Spanish have actually forgiven them yet, but anyway.
Yeah, so 55 kilometres of tunnels, and if you go to the website and look at the photos with the show notes or Instagram, you'll see what I mean. It is just it's a rock. You couldn't imagine 55. It must just go round and round spiral or something, right?
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's probably heard of the Battle of Trafalgar. Trafalgar, yeah. The Battle of Trafalgar.
Right.
Yeah, and that's and we've been to Trafalgar Square in the centre of London.
Right.
Well, have a guess where the Battle of Trafalgar was? Just off the coast of Gibraltar.
There you go. So that's probably enough history lesson for me anyway. Probably for you too. Thank you, darling. But now we get to the fun part. The monkeys of Gibraltar. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll tell you all about those cute little creatures now. So Barbary monkeys, they're famous on the Rock of Gibraltar, aren't they?
They are. They're very famous. Originally from the Atlantis Mountains and the Reef Mountains of Morocco, the Barbary population in Gibraltar is the only wild monkey population in Europe.
Yeah, that's
As of 2020, some 300 animals occupy the upper rock area of Gibraltar and the nature reserve. Population was down to 7. Churchill gave orders to have more females imported from Africa and decreed the population should never be less than 24.
Why 24?
I've no idea, but that's what Wikipedia told me. And they say, the legend is that
when the monkeys
the monkeys go, the British go.
So you sort of hear stories about the monkeys getting in your windows, and you're going up the windy sort of steep road in your little 4-wheel drive bus, and you start to see a couple of monkeys around, and obviously the driver of of our little tour does this on a regular basis, and he's calling out, hey George, hey Mabel, isn't he? Like, and he's got food, and one of these cheeky monkeys literally jumped in the car.
I think it was Mabel.
Sounds like a cheeky monkey. Jumped in through the window where he was and sat on my lap.
Yeah, just jumped while we were driving.
You know. And I said, he was supposed to take a photo. He had his camera in his, his phone in his pocket, and I was like, damn it, I didn't get a photo of that monkey. However, when you get to sort of the area, and this guy sort of takes you away from, where the big buses are, and, a lot of the tourists, and, there's monkeys everywhere. At least 24 anyway. So
as I said, as 220 there was 300. So
and once again, there's some really cute little videos on our Instagram highlight stories of one mum monkey and her 2 little babies, and they're right on the edge of the rock, sitting on the sort of metal fence bar. And, you think they're going to fall, and one of them sort of does, but, his tail hooks on, and, I'm like, and the mother's obviously not worried, they're monkeys, don't be ridiculous, Nana. So, but it's, it's quite nerve-wracking to watch them. And then you get to hold the monkey, you hold your hands out, and, they just, the guide, I can't remember his name, he calls over, George or Mabel or, Fred or Harry.
I still reckon he was having a land of us, but go on.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's my point. Yeah. And they come and they sit on your hands, and, you just sort of get a nice photo with them, don't you?
Yeah, they're obviously really tame. From what I gather...
Well, they're wild, though.
Yeah, right? they're wild because...
they live in the wild, they,
Oh, yeah, but they say as long as you... Do they bite? Yes.
Yeah.
But as long as you don't make any, aggressive movements towards them or move quickly or whatever, they're perfectly safe. So.
But then, when you're there for a while, they get on top of the car, and you've got one on your hand, and then I said you've got the mum with the little babies, and they're basically all, they're coming to get the food.
Sure, and they certainly rule the roost up the top there.
Yeah, but I loved it.
You got some really good photos with the tip of the rock.
Yeah, that's right.
With some of the monkeys, and they're brilliant.
What do they say? The 2 icons of Gibraltar, the Barbary monkey and the Rock of Gibraltar in the background. Yeah, I've got a really nice photo in our show notes of that. Just sort of sitting there, minding its own business. A lot of them do that though. There's some that don't come and engage with the people. There's some that just sort of sit back and just are very stoic and just watch it all going on. And that is a nice photo of the monkey with the rock in the background.
I think as far as that particular tour we took, don't be concerned about trying to find a tour guide or whatever. You just go into basically the centre of town, which is not that big.
No.
And they're all there just waiting for you to ask them to take it up. I think it was about £60 each.
Yeah.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap, but there's a few different ones you can do too. We wanted to go to the cave, and we wanted to see the monkeys and do the lookout thing. Didn't we? But you can do other ones that add in, like the tunnels and that sort of stuff. So I'm just not a tunnel girl.
Yeah. I'm going to leave that alone.
Thank you. But so you're right. So all around the bottom of town, there's they're selling a tour, so it's pretty easy, and they do them every day. And or you can choose to go up the cable car yourself. As well.
Yeah, and obviously that's cheaper to do that, but you're not going to have probably the experience that we had with the guide. So I'd highly recommend doing the guided tour.
Yes.
Look, Gibraltar compared to Spain is more expensive. There's no question about that.
Yeah, of course.
But we're talking about the Rock of Gibraltar. Just
you could do a day trip from Spain, but there's not that many big sort of Spanish towns. You could stay in La Linea, I guess. There was
that's
stuff.
True.
But I think it's worth the experience to at least stay overnight, in somewhere like the Rock or one of those nice hotels on the marina, and have a wander around the, because it's not, there's, as I said, the Botanic Gardens and the pool area there, and we did a walk up around the lighthouse area, which is sort of right on the peak, so you can, I think that's probably the closest you can get to Africa, where we saw that boat fishing. There's a nice big cafe area there and nice walkways, so you can spend a couple of days there at least, couldn't you?
Yeah, for me, like I really enjoyed it, but for me the highlight was actually staying at the Rock.
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
And everybody's heard of the Rock of Gibraltar and the Straits, so yeah, it was well worth it.
From that tour, sorry, just back to our tour, we finished sort of at the, there's a big sort of famous lookout, which is a military sort of lookout, which is, and, it tells you all about the military history. Remember there's those great big round iron rings, that they've got in the side of the mountain.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
That's right, yeah.
So there's lots of fascinating history about it. But from that lookout, you can see across or down to the airport, which I mentioned earlier.
That's right.
And that's where I got the video of the plane taking off. But that's a really good vantage point to see how they close the roads off to let the planes take off. And once that plane takes off, it's literally like hundreds of people are rushing across the road, the tarmac again. It's really interesting.
So you got a video of the plane taking off.
I did, yeah, sure. And the people sort of standing waiting for it to take off. It's not like big gates or,
No, not at all. It's a set of traffic lights, basically.
Yeah. Now, when we went to leave Gibraltar, we got a taxi from the Rock.
We did.
To the border. And we'd been paying everything with card, but the taxi driver didn't have card. He wouldn't accept card. And we didn't know that at the time until we got to the border crossing. And so we had cash, but we only had euros.
Correct.
Right? Now, it was a £20. I'm remembering that number.
Yeah, so do I. I remember
£20, which is a lot of money because it's not that far.
Yeah, it's about 400 metres.
Like now I'm thinking about that, he really was trying to rip us off.
Yeah. Dumb gringos.
Yeah, right? And we didn't have pounds, we only had euros.
Yeah.
And he was not going to accept euros, And now I think about it, I think we were probably quite ignorant not knowing that. But that's just a hint, if you probably will need some pounds. And because we're at the border and it's really early in the morning, there's nothing open in town, or there's, and I'm not paying him another £20 to go back into town to an ATM, just, know what I mean? Like to give him cash because he would have charged us more. So we were prepared to give him double the amount in euro, which he eventually took, but he was not happy at all, was he? That was not a pleasant experience, Like, you don't have a credit card machine, you don't accept debit card, you only want cash, but you only want pounds. But he's like, well, how can I use that? I'm like, mate, you just cross over that road there, like you can use that, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're in a country that you're not anywhere near Europe, like most people who are in Gibraltar cross the border all the time, don't they?
Yeah, but I think you've just got to get over that now. But telling the story about the guy you helped at the bus station.
Yeah, so a nice story. So leaving, that was sort of the, and the only reason I brought that up is he was quite angry, and I just, if anyone's going to Gibraltar, just if you're going to have cash, have a few pounds with you. But imagine now after...
At least 20.
Yeah. Imagine now, though, with COVID, most people would have the machines. They like to have the non-contact sort of way of paying. But, so then we headed back to the bus station, which we knew where that was, and we were catching a bus to another little coastal place. But there was...
where was that?
Cadiz.
See.
Yeah. But there was one little booth open, a Spanish lady, and there's, I'm not sure they were English, I think they were an Irish couple, and they were trying to buy a ticket to go, maybe to Seville, somewhere, quite a big town, and they're trying to buy it for, the 9 o'clock bus, and the lady's saying no, and they're getting quite angry because, they're saying, bus ticket Seville, and she's just sort of saying no, not giving them any information. So there was a bit of communication breakdown. So I did have a bit of Spanish, and I just went over and asked, could I help?
Yes, a good Samaritan came out in you.
And it turns out that they were trying to buy a ticket and they could see, that it said, a bus left at this time to where they wanted to go. But they weren't able to read the days of the week, and it was a weekend, I think.
Correct.
And
it was a Sunday.
And those buses only run Monday to Friday.
Correct.
So they could. There's no way they could get that direct bus. So then, help them work out they could go to another town first and then go from there on. So that felt pretty good, actually.
I was very, very proud of Leanne that day.
Oh, thank you, darling. So that did help because that poor lady, both of them.
Both the lady behind the jump and behind the counter and the passengers. Yeah, you solved a problem there.
I did, yeah. So that's Gibraltar.
Yeah, I mean, Gibraltar, I'm so glad we went.
Yeah.
It
was really good. So, as we always do, Lyle Anita. I have to come up with a Spanish name for you, Lyle. Where was your favourite?
I don't like any of those, so you better start again.
Asshole?
Oh, that's what you normally call me, among other things.
All right, stop it. Let's finish off with a glass of wine.
Oh, look, can't go past the balcony of the Rock.
Yeah, day where you can see the ships and the Morocco, or night where you can see the lights of the ships in Morocco?
I'd go night time because I probably would have had a few more.
Yeah. It was beautiful sitting there looking at that, wasn't it?
Oh, look, it was spectacular. Yeah. And you've got, as you say, you've got the Strait of Gibraltar and you've got the passing ships, and you can see the
lights of Africa.
The lights of Africa. You're on one continent and you can see another continent. Yeah, look, beautiful, and the service was spectacular.
Well, for me, because you've said that, I would say that as well. And I've got one of my favourite photos of us is having a real laugh at that restaurant. And, just the waiter must have said something funny. They were really, they were being very service...
Probably in Arabic because he was Moroccan.
Yeah, but they were being very service-orientated that night, weren't they? But I would say then, just to change it up a bit, would be down on the wharf.
Oh, sure, on the marina.
But beautiful sunset photos down there.
You did too?
Yeah, we sat there and had some lovely drinks, just watching the sun go down was really, really beautiful. So,
and the food was very good down there too.
Yeah, the food was nice. So I hope you've enjoyed our walk around Gibraltar, our information, our podcast today about Gibraltar. As I've mentioned a few times, I actually have put quite a few photos up because I couldn't choose which ones. There's monkeys, there's the Rock Hotel, there's the Rock itself. There's quite a lot of photos of the sunsets and the views and things. So, and that's on our show notes with this episode. This is episode 24, and it's at beachtravelwine.com. Or, as I said, there's all the videos of in the story highlights, of us walking with there's Lyle sort of holding the monkey and, actually walking through the caves. And, so there's a lot to see to go and have a look at those places.
So what's next?
That's a very good question, Lyle. No, our next podcast is all about, I think, the most glamorous place in south of Spain anyway, yeah? No?
Which one?
Oh, I don't know. It's a secret. Yeah.
No. I thought we were going to San Sebastian.
Well, it's pretty north then.
That's north, yeah.
Okay.
And it is very, very glamorous.
It is very glamorous,
and very, very famous for its pinchos.
Ah, okay. We've got some funny stories about our little roller coaster there too. So, that's right, San Sebastian.
San Sebastian.
Hasta luego.
Adios.